Recorded April 2nd, 2026. Good afternoon, Franklin. Good afternoon, Rodney. How you guys doing?
Doing good. I did a week SC 200 training, so a lot of very good students, a lot of fun. So
Really good students. Yeah, you must give everybody a grading curve of A. There you go. That's a grading curve. A, you get an A plus or A or A minus. SC 200. Okay, you doing okay?
Yeah. SC 200. Does that still exist?
What we asking?
Huh?
Nobody.
The only one that didn't get. There is no SC 201. Thank goodness. Still SC 200.
Still SC 200. How about 200 plus? What would be in that? All AI?
Yeah, all AI, but that's SC 500. So.
Right. You gotta.
We talked about the SC 500. Let me tell you. We'll get into the show. You guys know my position on these exams. All these super composite exams, we need to have the SC. What do we say we're going to be? 196, 197, 198, and 199. And you have the ability to take 4 individuals, or you can just take the 200.
But that's what the applied skills are for. Exams, so you can be more specific into the areas. So yeah, you can look at the applied skills kind of like that.
Well, we had this show before applied skills came about. Can we unofficially say that we've affected the trajectory of applied skills being applied skills? I did not
maybe
we could say. See,
I'm going to have to take I'm going to have to take exams this year, like the new AI 103. Like there's the SC 730, which I had nothing to do with. I'll probably take that.
Yeah. The 730 is the networking one.
No,
it's not. Which one is?
This is the SC 730.
Oh,
this is the cybersecurity business professional.
Oh, you brought that up on the last 730. Let me see. Let me take
cybersecurity business professional. Let me think about that.
What does that mean?
Is that a CISO or is that? What is that? What role is that? What does it say?
I have no clue. I'm waiting for it to come out, but
okay.
Hopefully I'll get to one of the beta codes and I'll go and take it.
Cybersecurity business professional. That would be
It sounds
MCP?
like the SANS one that I was going to take.
No, it's for the business people to understand security and risk management and all that other fun stuff. So it's for the business person side of the house.
It's crazy that number is so far out of range and so just seems to me very arbitrary to be 730.
They're doing a lot of these, even over in the dynamic side and power platform side. They're doing those sort of numbers. So
yeah. Well, let's get to it. We had last week off because Rod and I was getting the dog worked out of us, but I got to hang out with Mr. Rodney Trent and Mrs. Is it Megan Trent or is it just Meg?
It's Megan. Yeah, her full name.
It's Megan. I got to hang with my extended family and it felt like family. I saw when I woke up. I saw when I went to bed. We did this. We hung out. We went shopping. We did all the things.
I think we wore the same underwear too.
I wish I could have been there with you guys, but that's okay. That's okay.
Oh,
maybe next year.
Maybe next year, Franklin. So for our listeners, Rod and I were in Redmond the entirety of last week. It seems actually the weekend going into the entirety of last week at the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional Summit in Redmond, Washington. This was my first one attending, volunteer status, helping out. It was an eye-opener. I think the first day you and I, Rod, had to get up and be there at 6:30 in the morning, something like that. And then there were no shuttles running, so we had to get an Uber. And one day we had rain on, and they were running between buildings. So, but it was a good time.
It was.
I got to meet a lot of people I had only known virtually. A lot of them had come onto the podcast, but I have not met them personally. That was great. I think I didn't really realize the scale of what the MVP program was because I'm so hyper focused on security, and that's what Ryan and I spend all our time with the security MVPs. But there were more MVPs across different disciplines that you could shake a stick at, right? I'll let Ryan give his rundown of it a little bit and then into some stuff. But I want to this week in addition next week. But one thing I did learn about this summit, it is extremely strict in the realm of a mission and being able to get into stuff. I got kicked out of some stuff and run away. I had to get Rob, walk me back in. And they, even if you're a Microsoft FTE, you know if ID, you know get in. Go away. You don't get to eat. You don't do all this stuff. So they were really trying to cater to the MVPs that had traveled from East, West, North, and South. So I got to meet some very cool people on Rod's team. I got to joke about it in a little bit. And I got to hang out after hours with some really cool people that have been on the show. Shout out to Clive Watson and Craig Fretwell, our buddies from across the pond. It was some late nights dealing with those guys. Do that again. I'm aged. I got to wear a hat on my head. I'm still not right.
Well, and I'm not exactly sure who wore who out, because I know that on Thursday, both Clive and Craig were sitting in the back of every session. They didn't want to get up front where it was, there was more lights and it was louder. They sat in the back, but at the same time, they were like, "Where's Edward?" And we couldn't find Edward, and he wouldn't respond all day long. So I don't know what happened. I don't know. There's a story there. But
Ed messed around and got online and got to working, and everything's an emergency, right? When sellers are involved. So let me just be charitable. When you're out of office, the work doesn't stop. You just put it in a holding pattern, right?
Yep. Well, and you still have to do the things.
You still have to do the things, but it was well worth the time that I went up there. Faces the names. I finally got to meet Christina Quick face to face. So shout out to Miss Quick. Thank you. Multiple appearances on the show. Very, very nice. Her team's accommodating. Everything. It was a lot going on. I can tell one of the things about me, I can tell if I had a good time and I think my time was well spent. The number one thing is I remember your name. So everybody from Carrie, who was there, Ace, who was running around net new to the thing. That was fun. Dennis was there. Not Diego, but who's the other gentleman that was sitting at the table with us?
Pablo.
Yes, Pablo. He has a wicked sense of humor. Kept ignoring me the whole time. And I was bothering him. We got to know the front desk girls at one of the buildings that we were doing. Ryan and I was just
at the Commons, yeah.
At the Commons, they just thought we.
I actually went back. I went back on what day was it? I went back on Friday, Meg and I said bye to him. So. Yeah.
Miss Priscilla was one of them, and was Carrie the other girl? I can't remember. They were super nice to us. We had swag drama because we didn't know what building stuff was in. We had to go track it down, transport it. It was. Yeah. You can make two shows out of the antics and the shenanigans that was going on.
Well, but I think more than anything, Edward, I just want to thank you so much, because Edward did a lot while he was there, which I think was unexpected. See, for people that don't know, I talked Edward out of going to RSA and into coming to the MVP Summit. I told him it was going to be much more worthwhile. Not that going to RSA is not worthwhile. I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But the MVP Summit, it's an amazing event. You get to meet all these super intelligent people who volunteer all of their time because they're raving fans of Microsoft. They're raving fans that create raving fans. But like I said, I don't think Edward knew what he was getting into, because like he said, we were there as early as possible on Monday and we spent all day on campus. What time we probably, even Monday, and then Monday night we had dinner and stuff. And then all day Tuesday. I mean, these were all day affairs. So
And they weren't in a single building. We were running between
No, it was all across
buildings.
campus.
If you could only go to one, Ignite or the MVP Summit?
Oh, MVP Summit.
MVP Summit. The personalities there, the thirst for knowledge. Nobody took anything for granted. People sat up front. They paid attention. The demos were much more interactive. You didn't feel like you were being talked to. The presenters, I don't know if the presenters had a metric about how engaged you had to get your audience, but it seemed that way. You just don't get to sit there.
They're vetted beforehand. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that was real time. Feedback. I mean, the MVPs were very vocal about what they like and they don't like. Right? You don't get to just sort of wash it over.
All throughout the session. Yeah, not just
at the end. To the side and tell you what's on their mind. There were people that I thought were much taller than they are, and there were some people that are much shorter than I thought they are. I bet you are. He may have been the second tallest person at the summit as a big dude. Golly, yeah. And then Craig is shorter than me, and Clyde is the medium piece. Clyde. Big shout out to Bobby. That was real cool to hang with him. 3 of us probably spent the most time together after hours, and just everybody. I think Mona was there, from Cap Gemini. Formerly, she was at Blue Voyant. Eric Mann was there. Got to see him. That dude was a hoot. That real smart guy, man. He's been on the show. Got to see him face to face. I think the thing I like is looking at people's badges and seeing from all over the world where they were from. They had their country on their badges. There were more female MVPs than I would have thought. So maybe my mind perspective was a little bit dated because I've never been one, and there were MVP types, graph MVPs, PowerShell MVPs. There were people. One thing that I did notice, you get to look at people's badges really quick, especially if you can't remember the face or you want to do it. Almost every MVP that I encountered were multidiscipline, not a single discipline MVP. A lot of them were 3-time MVPs or discipline. We did the Intune one at the very beginning of the thing, the one we had to be too early in the morning. And they were Intune and Windows device MVPs. So we had 2 different type of swag to give out based on what you were. Books were given out. It was new to me because I didn't have to work to get the whole itinerary and the event flow. So it may seem redundant to Rod, but for me to see all this come together, right? Something simple as, do you have enough food for lunch? There's a lot of people there all over. And I think my adventure, and I hand over and let Rod get to it, we'll get into our show. I think my adventure started off just trying to get there Sunday. The airport in Atlanta. Oh my goodness. And so I left the house at 4:20 in the morning, got to the airport about 5, got in line, and barely made my flight at 7:35, 7:25. They were boarding. Like, I'm running with my backpack and carry-on to get on the plane, and the lines were just it was just crazy. So
it would have helped if your carry-on was smaller than you.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna give it to you on that. So I fly. Yeah, I get to Redmond. I get in the car. I get to the hotel. Rod's waiting on me, and then I hand it over. What happened out there?
Yeah, he walks into the hotel, and I have never seen luggage this size. His luggage was as big as me. I mean, literally almost as tall, and I don't know what he carries with him. And even his backpack, he carries like 5 laptops in his backpack everywhere he goes. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? I'm thinking he's a government state actor, or threat actor or something.
A lot of folks like, what are you doing? Why are you have asked? Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions.
Don't worry about it.
So we had a contest to see if people were worthy. So I would hold my backpack out to him. I was like, here, hold this. Dude, it hit the ground. And by that time, people had got onto the joke. They wouldn't hold my backpack anymore. That thing is heavy. You won't walk off with it.
No, but honestly, Frank, I don't know if you've ever seen his suitcase. It's a roller bag, but it is. I mean, it's
I've
this
never seen
tall.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. I
But
thought maybe he had his wife in there. I thought he was trying to save money on
I
tickets.
try to save on money. Yeah.
Yeah.
so Rod, I have to tell you, Edward did the biggest troll of all time to me.
Yeah,
Are you ready for the? You ready for the troll?
I'm ready.
I did not troll you.
He sent me a backpack. The Microsoft Security Most Valuable Professional Backpack. Isn't it nice of him to send that to me while I'm not there, not an MVP? What a troll! What a troll!
I told you. I thought about you, man. My thing was I had to hand out swag, and swag is very important. People lined up, did not leave early. They wanted their stuff. They were in line. Where is my stuff? And I'm like,
I should have worn my T-shirt. I have Henrik's T-shirt, the red T-shirt. I should have worn.
Yeah, I didn't get one. I forgot to grab one while we were in the conference. So what else, bro? What was your experience there? Considering you did as busy as I was, you were twice as busy because we had to sit in the speaker room, and when our event came up, we had to sprint to the building. Let me tell you one story. I'm gonna let Roy. I promise Roy go after this. So Michelangelo, one of Rod's teammates, she's very cool. Shout out to you, Michelangelo. She's awesome.
It's Migela.
I call Michelangelo. She's so cool. She tells Rod and I, hey, you guys session, you got to go over here. And it's the same place you saw to pick up your badge. It's just right across the street. Following Rod, and we walked 2 miles out of the way in the rain before we realized it's across the street. I was on Rod ass the whole time after that. I said, I'm not following you anywhere, man. We just kept getting lost on campus. It's like, because building 31, you would think 32. We were in building 36. At 35 could be across campus. I'm like, what? Who did this? This is maddening.
Well, yeah, I think that really confused a lot of MVPs too, because if you notice on our pre-day, we had Edward was actually running outside the building. He could tell the MVPs that literally didn't know where they were. They were like staring off into space, like looking for things. So Edward would go out and grab them, and bring them in, because he knew this is where they were supposed to be.
And then it got cold.
Yeah,
it got cold one day. Rod and I was setting out at the happy hour, or not the happy hour, the social gathering network. We were freezing, trying to keep that door open, and people were coming. We couldn't leave though. We had 300 people there.
Yeah, almost 300. Yeah.
So we had to. Rod and I shook at least 250 people's hands coming in. My hands are still dry from all the sanitizer.
Oh, the sanitizer. Yeah, mine were kind of wet from all the oils.
But Europeans are very friendly people, especially when you give them beer, and they had a good time, and you give them food and that. But what else? What else was one of your big highlights there, Rod?
One of the things that I thought was interesting. This is just going to be normal, boring thing. But what I thought was interesting, at least from our sessions, from the security aspect, was that we actually had a lot of so the way the campus is set up and the way the MVP Summit is set up, Azure is off on one side of the campus, security is located here, you have developers in a different place, Xbox, Surf, all those things. They're all in different places. We would regularly in the security area have Azure show up, Azure MVPs, because you didn't have to just attend your sessions. You could look at the whole catalog and attend whatever you thought was, would have been valuable to you. So we had Azure people show up. We had developers show up to the security area. But primarily we had M365 MVPs show up to security area, which I thought makes a lot of sense, but it was sort of unexpected that we had so many M365, just them trying to figure out how to secure Copilot and data security and all that stuff. So that's definitely something. And Frank, that's something you need to take back as you write these exams. We need to do something, how we tie together M365 and Purview and all that stuff.
And
So take a look at that was a big debate with inside SC 500, and
Yeah.
I pushed for that. So if the AI section of SC 500 survives, just because so much of it's in preview, which is a problem with testing, right? Yeah, we definitely took that into consideration for SC 500.
yeah, one thing that did come up, and it just occurred to me now because I don't believe Rod and I prefaces the call or teed the call up. A lot of the security folks, and I so distinctly remember this. Maybe I'm misremembering, but it went both ways. The security folks wanted a free M365 license, and the 365 MVPs wanted some type of security thing because they needed. So what we talked about was something that they were like, we want this, we need this thing to be able to do these things. It is definitely a labor of love. I can appreciate those who go get the designation. I can appreciate those who have to maintain the designation, because I can almost tell you a lot of those MVPs came self-funded, meaning not all of their companies paid for them to come.
Yeah.
They came very much self-funded, and they were like, we are here and we want to be here. And it was refreshing. We can't really talk about the details because a lot of the stuff, you put your phones up, they tell you don't take pictures, don't try to record, don't do all these things. Even as a Microsoft employee, some of the stuff I saw made me raise my eyebrows. I'm like, what is that? And I was like, well, that's cool, right? And I saw, and better than anything else, now that I've been to both, the demos, let me be very careful here. I don't want to offend anybody. The demos at the MVP Summit were of a different caliber than those at any other Microsoft conference. I'll leave it at that. Of another caliber.
So
none of them broke.
There's also kind of interest. I spoke with a lot of MVPs. Well, at least the MVPs that are also part of the Security Advisors program, which used to be the CCP. Now it's called Security Advisors. There's very little of what was shown last week that has already been seen as part of the Security Advisors, part of the private preview program. So there's not a lot of difference between the NDA content that the MVPs see and the folks in the Security Advisor programs.
Yeah. I think the way it's presented in a very concierge way, because now you got me. The private preview, the MCC security advisors thing is very broad. And so it's hard to track everything.
And it's little bits and pieces of the roadmap instead of kind of the holistic view, which you see at the MVP Summit. Yeah.
I actually sat down and paid attention, especially the MDO one. Big shout out to Ben and big shout out to Mike for doing one of the best Microsoft Defender for Office demos and labs that work from beginning to end. I actually got in the lab until Rod came over and started bothering me. I just sit at the table by myself. What are you doing? Like, dude, I'm doing my lab. Leave me alone. So she was doing that. So that was good too.
On the security community channel this week, there was who was it? Yuri and what's her name from the Defender for? Yeah, they're saying Defender for Cloud has a new home. So I guess Defender for Cloud is being assimilated into the Defender portal. Is that's what they were talking about? So
that's correct. Yeah.
Simulation is a word. So yes, I thought it was odd they said a new home. It's been there. It's one thing I really want to talk about, but I can't because it's still embargo. I saw it.
So here's the deal: is that he basically said, because I scanned through it, and I don't pay attention to the preview programs or any of that stuff. So whatever I say cannot break NDA, because as somebody that does training, I don't want to know about things that are coming until it's actually out. Okay. So basically he said that from a Defender for Cloud standpoint, that basically they're not doing a lift and shift into Defender portal. They're basically redesigning and working with inside the Defender portal and moving forward. So basically, I guess just like Sentinel, the Azure portal based will disappear at some point in time. I could see from the demo that he did all the cloud security posture management stuff, obviously the workload protections from the alerts, that's fine. Some of the other services, I did not see where that's going to fit in, but that was in their video on the YouTube security community channel.
I think Heike wasn't Heike the host potentially?
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah, I watched. One of the things that you'll notice is that they're not trying to expose every top level configuration thing like they were in Azure. So certain things inside the Defender portal you won't see as manifested on the left-hand side as a configurable parameter. Is when you get into it, it'll take you to another, I won't say another portal because you're getting away from that. But I'm like, there's no other way to get to it unless you go to that configuration piece of it to see. So I like that they're trying to keep the portal tight and clean. It's actually worth not going in to do something, but going into the portal just to go exploring. And I did it today. I went to the portal, I went to home, and I literally just went through and clicked on it. And there's an average of about 8.5 paths other than home that you can get to. Meaning, if I go into Sentinel and you click on it, that thing has several configuration parameters that manifest after you go through it. So I went through it, and so it's deeper than you think. So for those who think that moving everything to the Defender portal is a deprecation or a decommission of stuff that you're used to in Azure, that's not the case. It's just not manifesting itself as top level stuff and not as busy. But once you get into it, you see it.
This is the thing, is that the Defender portal, so I'm actually glad when they had the choice between Sentinel or the Defender portal that they actually went the Defender portal, because the Defender portal is a purpose-driven UI. So as they move this stuff in, it's falling with it. They're making it work for the purpose-driven UI, just like the entity behavior analytics subpages that they used to have now are part of the other pages that are part of the Defender portal already. So, that looks like, oh, that got discontinued. No, it's actually now over here where you would normally be looking for that information in a purpose-driven UI. So,
and you said purpose-driven UI. I hope you trademarked that. You said that 3 years ago. You go back and look at the episodes, it may be 4. We've been on the air for 6 years. About at least 3 years ago, you coined that phrase, purpose-driven UI. I remember one of the episodes, and that's very much so what it seems like. When you go in there, the naming is not obscure. So if you click on assets and it expands out, you got devices, identity, agents. It's really cool to go see it now. And I look at the big picture. So take the portal out of this. Let's go back to people. The 3 of us have been in our career a long time. We're getting a new crop of youth that this is new to them. This is what they know now. This is not, you had to go to an MCAS portal and an MDE portal, and you had to go to a compliance manager portal, and you had to go to an Intune portal. I believe that eventually those portals, almost all of them are already being gone, but the Intune portal is still a standalone if you want to. All of this is going to go in. Now, Intune may not, because it's a device lifecycle management product, right, rather than a security product. Don't yell at me, folks, and don't cancel me. Intune is not a security product. It's a device lifecycle product.
At Microsoft, it is absolutely a security product.
Okay, that's just my opinion.
I know.
I don't want Kerry mad at me. I don't want Ace him yelling at me. It is the security.
Do we have like any sort of betting markets for what's the next product to be assimilated into the Defender portal?
The betting markets.
Set up betting markets for that,
I'm going to go to Polymarket and set up something. Get me a contract on Polymarket. Yeah, this is what's about to happen.
How about Purview?
Ooh, that's a lift.
I think that might be the next one, though. Maybe. I'm just thinking where the investments are right now. And
all right, we need to do an entire episode on unified audit log, the audit, because it still drives me crazy about sending people to Purview to look at the audit over there for the unified audit log. Drives me nuts. So we have to do an entire episode on the best practices for dealing with the unified audit log.
I know people now that talk about it.
The Sentinel connector is providing you, not providing you, that you'd have to still go to the unified audit log for, and how to just manage that data. I think we should do an entire episode on that, because right now the documentation says, oh, look. So Rod, if you go back and share that screen, this is probably my biggest pet peeve of doing the training and explaining to the students, is that inside the Defender portal, if you go down to system, they have audit right there.
Yeah.
So this drives me crazy, because this is Purview audit, which is, industry term,
there it
unified,
is.
unified audit log, right? Mm-hmm. And so Microsoft's documentation on this is say, hey, if you want to see what's changed about this or whatever, or about your environment, they're not really promoting this as, hey, the unified audit log is a very important forensics capability for you to, especially in business email compromise, for you to take a look at. So there's the Sentinel connector, which is now the Microsoft 365 connector, that will give you SharePoint, Teams, and Exchange. So how much, is the unified audit log just better to go with that, with the Sentinel connector? Don't worry about the audit, but having it just sitting out here under system without taking into consideration how important the unified audit log in the world of forensics is, or investigations is, I think is a miss.
Service is unavailable. Sorry.
Mine is running just fine in my lab, but I have a notion of why it's this way. But
I know why it's this way.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing. If you go to Defender now, it moves you to security.microsoft.com. Just recently it was still Defender, but there you go.
Really? Mine's always done the redirect.
No.
It's my defender.microsoft.com?
Yep, and then it redirects you to security.microsoft.com.
Mine is always, it may be cookies, it may be something that's cash, but
right. So we'll have to do a show and bring in some people talking about best
we know
practices.
Some MVPs. They were on campus
with
us last week. We'll invite those MVPs to talk about it.
Yeah, we were soliciting the show. I got some notes, some follow-ups. I got some cards on the table. I wanted to do this recap as I started to look at who we started lining up. But now, I don't think we have I don't think we're going to have be at a loss for getting viable candidates to come on. The biggest thing, though, our European MVP brethren of a sort, the time zone is a thing, right? They're 6. Minimum 5 hours ahead, a maximum of, they're people from Australia there. So think about the maximum. So we had people both ways that were coming, that the time zone was, acceptable to them because they came from, Asia Pacific. So now you came from the future to the past, so you're not tired. But if you came from, Europe and London and all that other stuff this way, you're dog tired. You could see the fatigue at the lunch on the people that were coming back in time. So Rod and I tried to eat healthy when we could, scarf some food, sat down and ate salad on the ground.
We had some good food. We had good food, except for the conference food. It was just snacks all the time. So we had to actually go out and find real food.
One thing I'm probably messed up on the inside. Rob is a mint addict. We kept eating these mints out of the bowl. Those things like
all right. Here's a conference hack for you for dealing with the long lines to get your food.
Oh.
You sign up for the special diet.
Oh yeah.
So you just walk right up. Not only are you eating healthier, you just walk right up and get your food.
Oh, I always do.
Just say I sign up for the carnivore diet. So you get all the meat.
Get all the meat. No complaints. Food was decent.
It was good. It just wasn't.
It was
conference food
because there were thousands, literally thousands of
I was,
people.
yeah, I was, I'm not going to go there. Yep.
I gave more elbow bumps. I'm not sure, dude. I'm not getting. And then when I got home, I got sick. I've been sick all week.
Oh, you got sick? Really? I have a really good travel hack.
You told
Maybe
me.
I shouldn't say this publicly because maybe my doctor is watching.
I wouldn't. Public.
So I do a telehealth visit, a few days before I travel, and I say I'm traveling next week. I cannot get sick. So he prescribes prednisone and the antibiotics. He says take the prednisone, and then if you get sick, you'll have the antibiotics. I just take everything, and I never get sick when I travel.
Yeah. The people at the hotel were very friendly. That you had me spend an extraordinary amount of money out of my pocket to stay at, but they were friendly.
That's a good hotel.
It is. It's a boutique place. I got no points, but bartenders. There were a lot of parties. I can't say parties. There were a lot of Microsoft gatherings across all the things, all the different locations.
Every time Meg and I got off the elevator, we always looked over toward the bar to see if you were there.
I made friends with the bartender. They were some of the best people, man. They like, what do you do here, man? Because I was sitting there, you and Megan going to dinner. I said, oh my God, I want me a cocktail as I read through this stuff. So I went down to the bar, sat down, started talking to the bartender. So I'm having a drink. And this woman walks over to me, tall, very French looking, had the hat, scarf around, London, the coat.
That was her parents.
And I was like, Meg? She said, yeah. I said, what are you? She said, I ran out for something. I said, well, we're at Rod. Well, Rod's in the room. We said the bar. She was dressed up. Remember I told you? I said, okay, what's the occasion? You said that was her French outfit. I'm like, oh,
that was her Paris outfit. Yeah.
Paris outfit. Yeah. I was like, okay. It was good to finally meet your wife, man. We chitty chatted, ate dinner. I learned a whole lot of things about Rod. Oh yeah. Put that in my bank.
Well, now I'm realizing why you didn't let Miriam come with you. So.
Yeah. No. Nobody gets leverage on Ed at all.
I swear she was. I still swear she was in that suitcase. You just only let her out in the room.
Yeah, she don't need to be out disguising. Hey, as we go through this, I do have some readouts that came from this. So that was sort of a rundown from the MVP summit, but at the same time, a lot of my team members and colleagues were RSA.
Yeah.
So there's so much information internally to RSA, but it's one of those things. It's I call it the Westminster dog show of security.
Right? That's the best. I've never thought of it that way. That's the best.
Exactly.
Hey, can I say something first before you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. The MVP Summit benefited this year from RSA being the same week. And I'll tell you why. We didn't think about this until afterwards. All of those PMs who normally are kind of marketing, they were at RSA. So we actually had the PMs that were really very technical at the Summit this week. So we actually benefited from RSA being the same week.
Very technical. And what's the young lady that left Blue Voyant and came over? She hit me up on LinkedIn. Yolanda Wayne. She's friends of Mona. We ate lunch. We were in the conference thing.
You know how bad I am with names. Well, you're worse than I am, but
it was me. Yeah, me, you, Mona. I think her name was Yolanda. Mattis was sitting across from me because he made me hold his water the whole time while he was eating. We had Henry sitting across from us, and Eric was sitting over there. Once again, people. You can tell Ed has a good time if I remember your names. I don't remember people's names, but everybody there was really, really cool.
All right, give us your readout.
All right, let's go down to the thing. So, with all the stuff that came out, I told Copilot, grab me all the internal stuff that's available public facing, that's not internal only, so-and-so, so-and-so. So I ran it across Copilot, and I ran it across 3 different models, maybe 4. Perplexity, Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini. I didn't use Claude. I don't generally use Claude for informational stuff, mostly automating programming and a few other things, scraping. here are the highlights. And this was consistent across all of them because I didn't share prompts and I didn't share results. Like I piped the results over and tell the next one that this is what the other RAG model said. Can you do better? But I didn't do it this time. Let me see. All of these were consistent 85% of the time. Microsoft RSA repositioning its security portfolio and is highly engaged around agentic AI. Yeah. We know that. Scalable operations. We're talking about it now, right? And unified data. That was either one of the models and somewhere though. It said the centerpiece of RSA essentially was Microsoft Sentinel's evolution into a security operations platform. I coined that term a long time ago about Sentinel. It's a security operational platform. And I said it right after Franklin said a user-driven UI, right? And that's what it is now. It's an SOP. It's an operations platform. It's not your SOC. It's just a platform that can sit anywhere on top of what your SOC operation is. Anchored by the Sentinel data lake. And here's the thing I'm going to try to get Amy Dane on in the next couple of weeks. Who is Amy Dane? Amy Dane is just on LinkedIn doing a presentation on Sentinel Data Lake Federation. What is Sentinel Data Lake Federation? We'll talk about it in a second. It's cool. I heard it was coming. I didn't see it because I changed roles. They're also talking about anchoring the data. Sentinel is now going to be the anchor for Data Lake, Data Federation, Graph. Got to say Sentinel Graph, right? Because we got a lot of graphs. And MCP for AI agents. Data Lake Federation stood out of all the announced things because Data Lake was already sort of, soft announced. Everybody's been using it. This is just like we're telling you now this is what it is. But it said, Data Lake Federation stood out by enabling Sentinel to query external security data without ingesting it. We talked about this last year. Will you allow me to investigate and query across data where it is? Meet the data where it is. Don't ingest it. So your mind starts to say, well, Microsoft's losing money if you're not going to ingest the data because that's one of the price point. But when you hear the rationale behind it, this has potential for Sentinel and Microsoft to make more money, right? You got to have the scenarios. We keep thinking about log ingest as a single operation to achieve an end. It really isn't. Microsoft introduced AI-assisted playbook generation. We got to talk about that. I actually started playing with it today and I got distracted and I couldn't finish. Somebody asked me to help them out with it. I'm like, dude, I'm helping you while I'm learning. But we'll talk about it later. Treating SOAR less like a drag and drop and more like a software engineering with testing and validation. VS Code and GitHub Copilot play a major point. Sentinel Graph and Model Context Protocol were announced as the foundation for relationship-aware detection and agent access across the security context. All of them came back with some wording around it. Security Copilot expanded beyond chat into a task-oriented agents. We talked about that, how the standalone UI will always be there, but they don't want you in that. That may be a provisioning and a setup, but they want you using the agents that are powered by the SCUs that are part of the E5 and E7 enablement with 400 SCUs per licensed E5 and or E7 user. You can do the math, up to 10,000 SCUs a month. And SCUs are now the power blocks to run your agents, not just Security Copilot. They can run your agents, all the different agents, including the ones you can buy from the security store. Microsoft also announced delegated administration improvements to sort of fix their multi-tenant SOC and MSSP operations at scale. I heard it, I see it, and I believe it. I'm still hearing people have, we're not going to move the multi-workspace thing. I mean, the final push from Azure into the portal until July of next year. MTL is still having some issues. The MTL's multi-tenant organization features, I'll leave that as it is. Across the platform, Microsoft also emphasized open data formats, Federation, but open data formats is primarily around Fabric, Azure Data Lake, and the two other major data repositories that we have. You're probably going to exclude some third-party stuff, the Databricks, but we run Databricks in Azure, so whatever. The big takeaways is that, now this one's right here. Let me get my grain of salt here. Got my grain of salt. The big takeaway from RSA is that Microsoft no longer selling tools, is building an operating system for modern security operations. That is like, okay, Microsoft has an operation, so you're building an operating system. So to me, if I had to digest that, and I left it at that, I didn't want AI telling me anything. I wanted to go back to my own experience and say, what would that mean to me? It means to me that Microsoft is probably, in regards of their security operation platform or security operations center and Sentinel, that they're going to really delve into CI/CD, really delve into it. You going in and manually configuring Sentinel, you're going to be able to get templates. And a lot of MVPs have already written these push to click, deploy. Jing has already done it years ago. You start to see it now. Instead of coming in, they're getting away from being adverse to best practices, and they're going to go, tell me about your environment in a series of questions, push, and it's down. And I believe that's what's coming. You can get Sentinel deployed in a global enterprise and be very compliant, operational, show value in 2 days. Matter of fact, I know you can.
How about deployment from an agent? Then you don't have to answer any questions.
We'll have a deployment agent that probably will run and profile your environment and give you a scale of where you need to be and say, would you like me to do this for you? I didn't think about it that way, but yes. So you're still
Claude, like if you vibe code something with Claude, it says, let me build a plan for that. And then you get to approve that plan or approve parts of that plan. I think that agent will probably do the same thing.
And I'm seeing the Claude thing get deeper into Copilot, because you can see it as you already see this as an option. You can use Open AI or ChatGPT, or you can use Claude inside Security Copilot. At least we can at work. But now I can actually use Claude a little bit more than I could at first, because it was locked down. It was like, why can't I do this? I know now why you can't, but so that was a big takeaway from that. Now, what I really want to get into is this federated data, because this federated data says I can talk across ADLS, Azure Data Explorer, which was a big thing for cost savings within Microsoft for Sentinel for the last 3 years, or ADX, as you may know it as, for those who want to abbreviate, Fabric, OneLake. So operational and business intelligence data can now be considered some form of security data, especially looking at CRM and ERP and line of business stuff and other data sources. And you don't have to ingest it. Now, my thing is, I want to see is, what are the disclaimers for speed? Because if I got to transfer something outside of the microservices that are the backplane of Azure, what is going on? The other thing is the support for MCP and Microsoft's own dedicated Sentinel MCP. There are more than one. Big shout out to Chris Sepsel for coming on the show 2 shows back. There are multiple Sentinel MCP servers, right? And they sort of do different stuff, but you can write your own. And now how Security Copilot is being hugely integrated to that is interesting. And then on the automation side, the AI assisted playbook generation, once again, I started playing on it and I couldn't do it. The XDR stuff is deeper cross-domain correlation. When you're saying cross-domain, I first thought about domains because we're old enough to talk about domains, but what they're talking about is the domains when it relates to attack surfaces, identity, endpoint. Email still is going to be a liability because email is just never built to be secure. And cloud signals. It's sort of accepted now. You're not a single cloud entity. You are multi-cloud entity. If you were enterprise, you're going to use multi-clouds. I've been in one that was using 4 clouds, the enterprise scale, right? And then it seems like there's a huge re-emphasis on MSSPs. So partners should sort of be happy that Microsoft is providing ways, if you just look close enough, where you can still make money to be able to do these things for monitoring. And I think that's what I got from RSA.
My question is, what does this mean for Sentinel basic logs?
Convert to JSON, and then you don't have to do anything.
Well, it also said, what does this do for watch list?
Watch list.
Well, I don't know.
And yeah, rule tuning. Don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, the rule tuning is getting more robust. Dex Defender.
So I got a serious question for you now. I keep hearing
I thought that was
analytic rules will end up going away because we'll be using the custom detection rules and the Defender portal.
Well, so analytic rules, well, both of those are manually created. Why do we need rules at all, to be honest? If we have a data lake and the data is sitting there and we have generative AI can reason over it, why do we need rules at all?
I think you're going to need rules because of this. I think we're looking at analytic rules as being the subject of possible extinction and decommission. I think IOCs. I think the way that we address IOCs, especially when I don't believe there's such thing as 0 days anymore. There are no 0 days. Right? These things are there. They're just being exposed. I think the IOCs will probably see a huge reduction because if you start doing predictions around attack path analysis, detection analysis, all this stuff, you're going to be in front of the IOCs because now AI is going to predict vulnerabilities if you do this. So I think the analytic rules will still be around because you may want to write analytic rules become your new IOC. You're doing predictive IOCs. Right? I'm going to write this analytic rules because maybe I have a product, maybe I have a particular way I hunt, maybe because of a particular way my skill set and my people are.
Is it really the fact that you're looking for abnormal entity behavior scenarios to actually trigger what you're looking for?
Yes, and I think, I'm going to say I think, believe is Pat Scott. I think that you're about to see a huge resurgence in user entity behavioral anomalies because now you have to consider agents. And what is the new normal for behavior? So if you got a Yuba product that's built in the core of your thing, and I've always been a fan of Yuba, I think that's where it's coming from. Why write a static analytic rule based on a very particular subset of something that if I don't hit that watermark high or low, it doesn't fire? It's like using heuristics and signatures in AV.
Yep.
Just look at the behavior now. And like, why is this duck quacking like a duck, swimming like a duck, flying like a duck, and dumping like a duck? Because it's trying not to, tell you it's not a duck, right? So the Yuba piece of it, especially when Yuba is now being trained by the behavior of agents. And I was at one customer, I didn't believe it at first. So I saw it. They had like 10,000 agents in their environment. 10,000 agents. Some of them were
probably spawned by other agents. They had no clue.
Yeah, some of them were duplicate because they were agents of the same type of technology, but they were doing different things. Different people doing different roles. So the agent was the same technology of maybe the same company, but that agent did something totally different in that product. So they had like 14 ServiceNow agents doing, each one of them did something different. So now the agents are very much, put this around your head. I thought about it before the podcast. According to the size of an organization, you may have more agents than you have employees.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, God, look at all these things. And now I'm getting a deeper understanding of how Agent 365 really works. Because I had a customer beat my butt. Like, I don't need the black box. Tell me what are you keep talking about the control plane, the observation plane. It took me 2 times to get it right. Tell me how this stuff talks. Tell me how the security stuff determines risk, bad, good, indifferent. And I didn't know. And now that I went back and started looking at what are the interaction feels and how our products protect, detect, and respond, the linchpin around all of that is identity. And I know we said it before, but the identity is your friend because these agents are non-biological based operators in your environment, and you can't treat them any different. So you got identity, especially if you have agents and you have to license them. So, and that's sort of known. I think what's the day? April 2nd. Didn't E7 get announced today? Or really announced today?
Let's see.
I'm looking at my calendar. I think it got announced today, where you could talk about legitimate pricing and not published pricing. I'm doing the snake finger things for those who are watching me live, right? I'm in the quote thing. I'm super interested in where this agentic stuff is going. And the reason I got away from the Microsoft stuff and I've really started, I don't want to use the word troll because Frank said I troll. I've really been going out looking at what the startups are doing. Tell me what startups are in the same competitive landscape as Agent 365. There's some very unique startups out there that are doing cool things, but they don't have a platform. They're just a standalone solution. But when you see what they're doing, then you go back to the mind's like, well, we don't really do that. And then none of the big boys do it. Like Google doesn't do it. ADS doesn't do it. Palo Alto does it. CrowdStrike is totally in the wrong ballpark. But I think there's a huge opportunity for startups to come in and create a niche. And I think that there's a huge opportunity for startups to be acquired, but not just this IPO stuff of unicorn. You could be a startup and look at how much time vested, owed out that you have. And I think startups will now start. Matter of fact, I've been talking to some startup folks. They're trying to take as little funding as they can, so they owe out as little much, and they don't have to parse their company off. And so instead of trying to have $1 billion IPO that dominates the news, you're gonna see a lot of these little startups being bought for 50 million, 100 million.
I got a question for you. Now, since Claude Code is open source,
next topic coming up.
I didn't do it.
So anybody that's developing software has to be concerned that once they come out with their feature set, somebody's going and just redeveloping it right away. So, that's one of the reasons why the SaaS providers were getting hit in the stock market, because people were trying to understand the real future value of them when people can just do some spec-driven development and start taking them out.
Well, let's hear your opinion about that. That was the next topic on the show. I think the topic was, Anthropic did a BooBoo. What's your thought on that, Franklin?
Was it on purpose or was it an accident?
I've been doing SC200 this week, and so I was completely focused there, paid no attention to it.
I thought it was fake at first until the company responded.
Yeah.
Like, did that really happen? Yes, it happened.
Yeah, but you're also dealing with this, I think the Python situation that took place where a lot of people were downloading the packages and getting remote access on their machines or whatever. I don't know if you paid attention to that. So that has been more of a concern for me than worrying about Claude Code.
Yeah,
it'll be in the show notes. Also, you're talking about the Axios hat.
That's it.
It's in show notes. I didn't really dive into that too much, but that was a very major thing. Just seems to be that if you wasn't really deep into it, it's sort of the layman's person didn't really understand how serious that was. I'm going to read up on it tomorrow because I had a customer that really
Python is the language of the cloud, or the language of AI. So it's utilized everywhere. I don't know if you've ever watched, if you go in Claude, you go into ChatGPT, even Copilot, and while it's doing its things in the background, you can actually expand it and see what it's actually doing. It is building Python code to execute that thing you ask it to execute. So It's using Python code to build Python code. So Python's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's still very, what's the word? It's very forgiving for lazy developers. It's a very loose. You can make bad Python code run.
Yeah.
And Python to run Python, yes. And then they tear us down. You don't have to have the static code. It writes the code to do the task and breaks it down. I don't know. I know Robert Disney talked about this a couple of years ago when he came on the show, that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Big shout out to you, Robert. Come on the show. He said that this is going to happen.
I've been doing a lot of the GitHub AI assisted development training. So I'm real heavy in that world too. And so was a Claude Opus 4.6 or whatever, that just changed everything for what's going on. So I mean, I'm really Foundry, GitHub Copilot, and straight up security. So that's where I've been living and training.
Well, GitHub Advanced Security. That's the problem. A lot of people, it depends on where they put their code, right? GitHub, if you use the Enterprise Advanced Security, it does a good job of identifying potential threats in your code, and not just the code, but the modules that the code actually utilizes. So it will warn you, and you can update that stuff. But if you're just storing it wherever on a server somewhere and you run it from there, then you have deep problems.
Back to the Anthropic thing. I like to be a fly in the wall, a ladybug on the ceiling, a spider in the web in that room with their leaders right now. I'd buy a ticket to hear, how do you mitigate this now that I went through and read a couple people's write-ups about how much was really exposed and how much true innovation that they had. Nobody thought Claude worked the way it did. They were really taking about like, this is not the way we thought this particular solution, offering, product, intelligence worked. And now, even if you don't duplicate their product, and I don't know how they would police it, you could, but if you throw rocks at every barking dog, would you ever get down the street, right? You don't have to write the code identical. You could tell AI, write me a solution very close to this without violating intellectual property. And that's what one of the guys that
and use Claude to do it. Yeah,
Claude to do it. That's a good point. I guess you could police it by looking for. Well, then you expose yourself that you're watching people's activities.
Yeah, you have to think though. What was really exposed? All of these use pretty much the same functions on the back end. Claude, Gemini, Copilot with OpenAI, they're all pretty much the same. And I think a lot of them have been reverse engineered anyway. So what actually really was exposed that is detrimental? Because if you use Claude to build code, who cares?
I'm ready for your question.
It doesn't mean that your code is suspect or insecure.
I am ready for your question because I had somebody ask me this question, and it took me a minute because my brain wanted to go to a technical answer. But the reason I was able to get it because I happened to be cooking. Barbecue sauce is barbecue sauce. It's barbecue sauce. Everybody makes it. But why does one barbecue sauce outsell the other? It's because you don't know how it's made. I think a lot of it's in your head. I think I can tell a good barbecue sauce from a bad barbecue sauce because I cook. So I think is like if you go to a grocery store and there are multiple things, the difference is that Colonel's fried chicken, one piece of secret sauce that makes all the other herbs and spices come together. This seems to me the Coca-Cola formula has gotten out. The 11 herbs and spices have gotten out. And any other, I like using food analogies. You go to some of these cook-offs, man, these barbecue masters are so protective. They don't let you take samples of their raw sauce at the thing or whatever else. I think that's the significance of it. Now, but it's also an opportunity.
Well, and the only reason why there's not another Coca-Cola is because they have lawyers watching all this stuff to sue you for making Coca-Cola. So that's the only reason why Coca-Cola, there's entire YouTube channels for people deconstructing KFC's how many spices they have, or Dr. Pepper. They're making these things. You can watch YouTube and do that. It's but like you said, I think it's in your head that this thing is magical somehow.
And I tell you, it's always going to be, eye opening to me, because I'm not as deep as Franklin is on the raw side of how AI, whether it be LLMs, RAGs, agentic, works. I'm getting better. So now I can go, I just ought to see why this is significant, because did you really know how it worked? I mean, really, without working at the company. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's particularly interest to me. Fresh Air on NPR did an episode on Claude and Anthropic, and the title was "Even Anthropic Doesn't Know How Claude Works." Listen to it. It's eye-opening. He went through there and he said there are no nonsense when you go to their headquarters. They bought the old building from company, SaaS company. I forget the name of it, but they bought the old building from this company and they totally gutted it, and they made the building no distractions. There's nothing on the walls. There ain't no foosball. When you walk in there, it's dead ass serious. When you work at Anthropic, nothing is very tight.
Yeah.
I can think of the name of the company. The company didn't go out of buildings. They just bought their building. And they were saying that a lot of the deepest minds there are still trying to figure out how Claude actually works, why it's doing some of the things. And they talked about how they caught it trying to cheat on a coding exam. And they also ran some scenarios where they create a fictitious company and they threatened to shut Claude down. And Claude said it was going to blackmail the CEO by saying that he was having an affair. Go listen to NPR.
I think all the data center build out was actually all, AI. They're like meeting with people, through Zoom or Teams, and they're not actually real people. AI is actually the one that's ordering all of the data centers to be created.
Yes.
About that.
Yes.
There you go.
Like, we need more data centers. How do you solve climate change? Get rid of the people that's causing it. They asked the model, and the model said, you said no rails, nothing is, unmoral or whatever. The main cause of global warming is humans. Eliminate humans and global warming will stop.
I think the main cause of global warming are the humans that are writing about global warming. Get rid of those people.
It's like the people that said they were getting ready to have a recession.
Yeah, cancer doesn't exist unless you get diagnosed. So
that's like saying nothing exists to me because I'm not observing it. That's an old philosophical.
You all are just this background to my life.
No, there's no Schroeder's cat. The cat is either dead or alive, and if you're around me, you're a dead cat. Come around me, right? I have nothing against cats, but. I'm going to go back and reread that whole Anthropic thing. But how about this? Since we're into, AI-driven conspiracy theories, what if AI leaked it on purpose? Maybe it's a hidden package that you don't know about.
Yeah, I was thinking just the opposite. I was thinking, going back to humans again, it was kind of suspicious how, was it a week or 2 weeks that the government cut Anthropic loose? The DoD cut 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden it's Anthropic, and then there was a lot of press about it, and Anthropic held their ground, and then their code was released. So
that's obvious. That was a softball one that the government, the administration currently were unhappy that these guys went back down. But you have to think about it. We don't know who had access to it. One of my guys posted Doge.
Oh yeah.
Like, But I still want to be somebody in the room to listen to what they're saying. Like, When they trying to go IPO this year, Franklin? Anthropic, yes, maybe. OpenAI.
All of them are trying to IPO this year because they need money.
Yeah, you running a $1 trillion market capitalization, and you got $100 a month in revenue. I mean, you know, if you have to ask how companies making money, then you are the product.
Yeah.
You're the person, right? What's the old saying? And we'll end the show on this one. If you're playing poker at the table and within the first 5 minutes you don't know who the sucker is, then you're the sucker. Yeah, you're the person. It's like walking into a poker game and the cards are already dealt and you sit down. There's no win. There's no win on that, right? I actually like Anthropic.
I really do. I really do. Yeah.
I like the product. Evidently, Microsoft likes the product. I mean, they're one of the collaborating partners with it. I'm sure smarter, richer, more influential people are considering these things. But in conspiracy, there's often truth, right?
Yeah.
Science fiction was science fiction until someone figured out how to make money, and it wasn't science fiction anymore. So we'll see that. Like the Artemis rocket ship blasting around to the moon and come back. They're going to be abducted on the dark side of the moon, changed out with aliens, and sent back in real time. That's going to be it for us. The next thing you know, something's jumping on your face. And that's it. Well, everyone, this has been the recap of the MVP Summit and the RCA Microsoft very centric takeaways. We got some other interesting things in the show notes. Raw to get it published because my machine tends to not like to download it. Rod, all the stuff is already pre-made, just like last week. All you gotta do is just throw the file and publish it. We're ready to go. We will resume in 2 weeks. We'll start by having our guest. I think one of the topics I let out of the bag, I'm going to try to get the program manager that owns Sentinel Data Lake and more specifically the federation aspect of it. I'm going to reach out to her and see if I get it on. To all our European friends that met us at our MVP Summit, the invitations will come out. We'll be very cognizant of the time zone difference, and we'll be accommodating. We've done it before. If we need to do a show at 2 o'clock, it's all magic anyway. And then we got to get Frank to Ignite 1 year. Yeah, there you go. We'll see. And the
MVP Summit.
And the MVP Summit. And that's it for everybody. I'll see you in 2 weeks, guys. Stay out of trouble. Wash your hands. Filthy
Or your elbows. And your elbows.
And your elbows.
Yeah.
Lady people.